Like people can fight in their hearts and not separate a family who's just trying, just to live a life like anybody else and have the same opportunities and work hard.
The Subariska family is bracing for the worst. The matriarch of their household will soon not be around after receiving notice that her stay of removal request was denied by ICE enforcement and removal operations.
It's just a complete shock. She just is speechless. How can you go back to a country where you have literally nothing?
Irina Subariska is a Polish citizen and only lived there for about 10 years, compared to over 2 decades in the United States.
My dad came to the country to help, build a better life and start a strong foundation for my brother and myself. And they've worked hard. She's saying, look around us, like we have this home. We've worked for everything.
Something's off here because like the reporter said that she lived in Poland for 10 years and she's been in the US for over 20, basically over 2 decades, but she looks way over 30. So something is missing here. But if this story is absolutely true, right? I don't understand I could understand how you could feel remorse for these people, but like at the same time you can also like say like what the hell were you doing for over 2 decades? Like you didn't think that getting your papers in order was a good thing or a good idea to do. Like you didn't think, all right, 20 years, I'm in this country, you have the opportunity, your dad came here to build a better life apparently, right? Didn't you think that, getting a job, which you clearly had because there's no way you would be able to build a life, right? And you have children as well, it seems like. Then getting a job and like hiring an immigration lawyer, to help with your status, you didn't think that was a good idea? And a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, you guys are so cold-hearted, like you conservatives and you people on the right, you're so like, unapologetic, you're so not empathetic, like you're so not sympathetic. It's not that we are all those things. It's just like it just doesn't make sense to us. You're in a country for 20 years or over 20 years, or some of these people have been in the country their whole life, basically their whole adult life, and you're telling me that it did not dawn on you in your mind or like just in your daily life. Maybe it is a good idea for me to hire an immigration lawyer, somebody who is actually going to help me with my situation for me to be actually legal in this country. But then again, you have to look at the incentives that these people have, right? The Democratic Party and these left-leaning people and these liberals, they tell them, no, don't worry about it. Like you could just come over. Like nobody's actually gonna enforce interior deportation, because that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like Donald Trump is the first person, like deporting people who come here illegally, that's fine. People who cross the border illegally, that's fine. But Trump is the only like he's the first president really to do what's called interior removal, like actually getting people who are here like illegally, have been here for crazy amount of time, and actually getting them out the country. Maybe getting an immigration lawyer would have been a good idea.
These raids, controversial, always have been, always will be.
Not really.
I think
when Obama was doing it wasn't controversial.
Certainly
You guys did ride-alongs.
This guy is actually not lying. CNN actually did ride-alongs with the ICE officers and ICE agents on those ICE operations, right, immigration operations, when Obama was in power. But as usual with these people, right, it's always rules for thee, but none for me, right? That's always the case. And I mean, it's an old story now. But I mean, it's crazy because during the Obama administration, right, apparently he deported like 3 million people, right? And they released an article, DHS just released an article, right, saying that Trump has deported about 3 million people since his first year back in office, right? But what they don't tell you is that 2.2 million of those deportations are actually people self-deporting and going to other countries because they don't want to live in America. The actual number that Trump has actually deported, that ICE agents actually grab them and put them on a flight back to whether it's Venezuela or whatever countries they're going to, is around 675,000 people. So you're talking about, in comparison to Obama being 3 million people that he actually deported, right? 3 million minus 675, that's what? 2,325,000 people. So there's literally a 2 million difference in what Obama has done in terms of in comparison to what Trump has done. But because people don't mess with Trump, because people think he's a fascist, he's a dictator, all that stuff, obviously they're going to, exaggerate and make it much of a more big spectacle than it actually is. I mean, there's a reason why when Obama left the office, when Obama finished his second term in office, right, they literally call this man the deporter in chief. Right? Like it's normally his commander in chief. Obviously, that's how you refer to the president because he's a top guy, right? He's at the top. But they literally were referring to this man as the deporter in chief, bro, because of how many people who he was getting out of the country. And these people were doing ride-alongs. This is the same CNN that was doing ride-alongs with these ICE agents. And I mean, some of the videos are resurfacing online now because it's crazy how the hypocrisy works. But I've always said it on here, bro. When it comes to liberals and Democrats, it's like, yo, bro, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, like, the ultimate definition of hypocrisy, bro. Like, it's like, yo, when Obama was doing it, fine, we don't care. But these guys are doing ride-alongs. These guys are doing ride-alongs. Now that Trump is, doing, interior enforcement and actually getting the people who need to get out the country because they're here illegally, it's a problem. But yeah, it's crazy. This is wild. But as usual, these people have a moral superiority complex that nobody seems to understand anyway.
But back to your point about leftist violence, you have to understand this is not something new. This is not something that's randomly happening. It happened in China, it happened in Vietnam, it happened in Cuba, which I'm Cuban. So every single time the leftists take over, what do they want? Revolution. To what? Break down the status quo. How do they do that? Not through peace. They do it through revolution. Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Stalin. Every single time, that's how they do it. And you know who they use? All of you. They use the university students. They use...
As bad as it sounds, right, this is the absolute truth. And it actually makes sense that the people at the top and the people who are in charge, right, it actually makes sense that they want to target people who are in college and people who are on the younger side. Because once you get older, you actually understand how life works. And you can't really be indoctrinated and led to believe certain things easily. So what's the best way to change how the next generation thinks, change, how the country is swayed, change the political views and the ideologies of people in a country for the future, right? You have to target the young people. And, I've said it on here many times. College is basically an indoctrination camp. I mean, like, I've seen people go to college a complete different person, right? Had values and everything, and they come out of college like a whole different person. Like, and that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Like, yes, getting an education is good. Yes, having a degree is good, even though a bachelor's degree nowadays is like a high school diploma, right? It doesn't really matter anymore. You can make way more money having a trade. But it's like, college is really just an indoctrination camp. And this guy is 100% correct. This is how they revolutionize the country. This is how they get people to get inside and actually change the country. What better way than to target the young minds of young people? You want leftist ideologies, you want, progressive ideologies, go to college. Like, literally. Like, if you have never been on a college campus before, just go on there and you will see. Like, you will see exactly what this guy is talking about in this video. There's a reason why people who have higher education, right, people who have, their bachelor's, their master's, and their doctorates, they normally lean left. And then, in these colleges, they have little groups that, eventually turn into political groups. And then they push those people who are very interested to the top. And then that's how those people get into power, and they get little jobs at, the liberal networks. And then they go through there, they get into the government. And then from there, they indoctrinate everybody else. But it's literally a system. Like, it's literally a system set up in a way to indoctrinate the young kids or young children or young people going to college. But hey, I ain't gonna lie. I gotta give credit where credit is due. It's a very, very interesting master plan, and it actually works.